You can't have inflation if bond yields are not rising. That's one of the first signs. And that's a major sign. Everybody was talking about inflation. Everybody's saying, hey, inflation this, inflation that. But they forget that so long as the yields are going down low and getting somewhat controlled, that the inflation question and point is getting taken out of the equation, that bond prices, although some of them may be going up, the inverse relationship is that the yields go down. All right, so that's another thing to keep in mind. We're also seeing very limited economic output in this country, and that, along with the jobs numbers that came out today, which were not as good as people had anticipated, they just are more catalysts as to why inflation is not rearing its ugly head at this particular point, and that the long bond yields, I think, are going to still trend downward. If you just take stagflation at its basic points, you need rising inflation along with diminished or decreased economic output in this country. We only have one thing, and that's the decreased economic output. Inflation has been somewhat controlled, it's somewhat measured, versus before people were saying, oh my gosh, inflation is going up and up and up in such a short period of time. And that was due to the pandemic. That was not due to any other factors other than people were not working, they were not in their offices. So that lends itself to the second part, which is that decreased economic output. You cannot have an increased economic output if people are not going back to their offices just yet. And that's exactly what I think is happening here, that we don't have the people returning back to their offices at the pace corporations were hoping to get people going. Another thing you have to take into consideration, corporations are going to be forced to start paying people a living wage. And we're seeing a lot of corporations giving signing bonuses now to employees because they need to incentivize employees to come back to work. Else, people are just going to stay off the job payroll right now and not face the dangers of that Delta variant and the like, which seems to be scaring a lot more people, especially people who have not been inoculated. I want you to think about something. In the last 10 years, both big and small companies have not been paying a living wage to their employees. Small companies and medium-sized companies are going to follow suit on what the big conglomerates are doing. And if the big conglomerates are starting to offer these type of incentives to getting more employees onto the payrolls, then guess what? Medium-sized and smaller companies are going to have no choice but to. It has nothing to do right now whether or not you can afford to. It has to do whether or not you can afford not to. You really have to think about this and get people back to work, because if not, your business is going to be in big trouble. So that's one thing. The second thing, yes, prices have been rising steadily, but wages have not. Over the last 10, 20 years, wages have not been rising steadily. We've not seen that increase that you normally see in the graphs, with wages earned. And companies are going to be forced to start using different plans to incentivize to bring their workers back. But they're going to have to get creative too. This is not only about money. As you said, this might be a benefits thing. This might be, indirect money, but more directly benefits to get people back on the rolls and get them back to working, and do so in the most intelligent and cost-effective way possible. And this is what I love about what's happening now. And I'm glad, honestly, I'm glad that the Chinese government is going in there and saying, hey, we want to create some sort of normality, where we are showing outside countries that we're going in there and regulating these type of companies. That way, the accounting funny business and the things of the past are really going to become part of our past. They're no longer part of our future. We're no longer going to just turn a blind eye. And also, they're doing it. Let's not kid ourselves. The Chinese government is doing this in the name of state security. Why not? You have to protect your state secrets. You have to protect your government as any country would. So they're going to here's the bonus to investors. The bonus to investors is that you're going to have a more watchful eye from the Chinese government. There is still plenty of opportunity to make money with these companies. So I would, if anything for me, I'm looking at this and I'm salivating at the mouth because I think it's a great time to get involved in these companies. Think of the opportunity with a company like Didi. That doesn't mean it's going to grow tomorrow, but wow, let's think, 5, 10 years from now, what this company could look like, and the audience that is in China, over 1 billion people using their services or not, we don't know. But that's just a small example. I think that the Chinese IPO market is a great place to be, but not with a ton of money. I always advocate keeping it under a percentage, 5% and below, so you don't get hurt, but you still participate and have a chance to make some decent money in a lucrative market. I really believe that this is just one of the many countries that have a burgeoning market of high quality, high class companies that are just showing up now and showing that they can make money. We've already seen other companies come in there and do so. I don't think that's going to change.